The following program may contain themes and language of an adult nature. Parental discretion is advised. The views and opinions expressed on Rally Point Radio are those of the on-air personalities and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Los Angeles Film School or its subsidiaries.
Rally Point Radio is a production of the Los Angeles Film School's chapter of Student Veterans of America. Broadcasting from the heart of Hollywood, California at the Los Angeles Film School, this is Rally Point Radio. Rally Point Radio is broadcast from the heart of Hollywood at the Los Angeles Film School. We take point on current industry topics, trends, and campus life. Our unique location and support from the entertainment community has given us an opportunity to interview many industry leaders, as well as the top up-and-coming students and alumni of the Los Angeles Film School.
Hello and welcome to Rally Point Radio's very second episode. Today we're going to be featuring one interview in particular, and that is with an alumni here from the film school, Martin Pensa. Martin's gone on to achieve a first in the history of the Los Angeles Film School to be nominated for an Academy Award in editing for the Dallas Buyers Club. We did a Q&A screening here a couple weeks ago, and that was moderated by a guest I had here for our first episode, Joe Byron, who joins me in the studio at the moment. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Art. How about yourself?
Pretty good. I want to talk to you, Joe, about something that we didn't discuss previously about being an alumni, and there's some perks you get by being an alumni.
Being an alumni of the Los Angeles Film School and having a Los Angeles Film School alumni card gives you many benefits, which can bring you back to the campus or can be useful in terms of getting your career jump-started or getting your career properly promoted. One is that the alumni card functions like a student card in terms of giving you access to common areas of the school, also to school events. You know, we do a lot of events in cooperation with the various groups throughout Hollywood, and they're also open to the public, and the public has to stand outside, sometimes in the hot or the cold or the rain, but our students don't. They get first shot at the seats. Our alumni will also get first shot at the seats, just like as if they were students, because we like the fact that it gives all of the people that attend these events the opportunity to network and to hear, as you know, directly from the filmmakers, the writers, directors, and so on. The card also is a membership card for the Alumni Association, which meets on the fourth Wednesday of every month, approximately, depending upon holidays. And this gives anyone who has a card and is interested in connecting up with legacy grads from other programs, meeting successful grads. People normally come to the meetings, which are very social and very fun, either to brag or to look for work. And they're both acceptable, and they're both kind of not mutually exclusive. We also now have Alumni Night in the theater, which is approximately the last Friday of every month, where students who have prepared work or like to screen work or present work can actually be approved to use the theater for their purposes to enhance their careers, etc. It used to be a long, involved approval process. Now it's not.
Can you describe what that is?
Of course. A very good question. You call me and you give me the parameters of what you would like to do. For example, if it's a film, what is the running time? What is the genre? What is your involvement in it? What is the purpose of the screening? Is it for promotion? Is it for testing in front of a neutral audience, for the cast and the crew? And once I know what that is, we check the schedule, we see if it fits for that particular night, and if it does, it's booked. We ask to have the material approximately a week and a half before it's actually going to screen or play, and that way we can test it and QC it and make sure that the presentation is of the highest possible quality. We charge thousands of dollars to use that theater.
Yeah, it's a nice theater. I mean, certified THX, 350-ish seater. It's pretty spectacular.
Dolby, 4K, 3D, whatever you want or whatever you have, we can make that work in that theater. I've been told that it's one of the best private screening rooms in Southern California. I was told this by the people at Sony and at Canon that make the projectors. Finally, it's what we call the PGAP. And the PGAP stands for Postgraduate auditing program. And this is something that's very unique to us, and that is we want to make sure that our students succeed. And we want to make sure that their knowledge and their experience never gets stale, no matter what happens after they leave the school. And we know that technology changes. We know that the industry is always in a state of flux. So we invite our students who would like to come back and audit and retake classes to come and do so. Once again, this is something that was never offered before. The process has become quite simple. You email me at jbyron@lafilm.edu. Yeah, we'll send you a sheet which will tell you about the guidelines and an application, and you let me know the class that you would like to audit and your preferred times that we'd like to do so. Once I receive back that application, I check to make sure it's clear on the schedule. I issue a special permit for that grad to come back, and they can retake that class. Now, it's possible to take a single class or an entire course. It can be any course whatsoever as long as it's within your established discipline, and there's no time limit. You can do it now, you could do it a year from now, you could do it 2 years from now.
As long as you meet the guidelines, because I know there's that one guideline of keeping up with your loans.
Well, that and maintaining the standard rules of student conduct that's in the catalog. Yeah, we don't want people defaulting on their loans, and that's one of the reasons we're doing this, is so that they can be gainfully employed and they can be proud members of the entertainment industry.
And it's so important because the school's very big on keeping up to date with the current equipment, and it's easy to fall behind if you don't have access to it.
Exactly. And you can also take a course as many times as you want. So you could retake it. You could, in theory, start from the beginning of your program and retake the entire program. Now, we only permit you to do one per month, but you can do that for as many months as you want. Now, here's the big thing. It's all free. That always gets a big reaction when I'm explaining this to people, because they go, yeah. What's the catch, right?
Right.
But there is no catch. The catch is, if there was a catch, is that we want to make sure that you're successful. The success of the school depends upon the success of the students. If the students coming from our programs do not become gainfully employed, if we can't deliver on the promise of helping people make their dreams come true, then the school is going to have trouble. We are totally, absolutely behind the student. Finally, the school is interested and willing to promote each grad's career. So if any graduate has achieved some type of a milestone, an award, a major job, work with a major artist, we're more than happy to put it on our website, to put it in our newsletter, to hold a press conference, to do an event around it. That's how important the graduates are to the school.
And that brings us back to Martin and broadcasting this special Q&A that you did a couple of weeks ago. And I would like to kind of have you talk about what Martin was like as a student and when he graduated and mature and grow through the industry.
Well, Martin, I call him Martin because he's French-Canadian, and his first language is French, and that's how I always addressed him when he was a student. Martin was a very, very excited and eager student when he was here. He saw the advantages of going to a school in Hollywood as opposed to Montreal, where he had been living, and he'd been doing some media work there, but nothing as extensive as it is in Hollywood. So when he came here, he was very excited. He was in our certificate program, which at that time was a specializing program. In other words, you had to kind of announce a major and minor.
Because he graduated in 2002.
But he never declared a major and a minor. Instead, he managed to sneak into just about every class. So he actually had a major and minor in everything. And what he did is he helped people along the way. He worked on every project he possibly could, and he became really loved and appreciated by his classmates. And he always had a great attitude, and it was obvious that he always enjoyed what he was doing. Because of that, I kind of pegged him for success in the early days, because anybody who really, really is passionate about the entertainment arts, and anybody that works as hard as Martin did when he was a student, I knew would never give up and would go on to do great things. I didn't anticipate him being nominated for an Academy Award, and by rights, in my opinion, he should have won it. Of course, you know who won it, right?
Yeah, it's Gravity.
Yeah, and Gravity wasn't even edited. It's more of an animated film. Martin told me when we had a private discussion that the editor of Gravity was a little bit embarrassed that he had won the award and actually felt that he may not have deserved it.
And plus Dallas Buyers Club is notorious for the budget that they had as well.
And in the interview that, as long as you all stay tuned and listen to, you'll hear about how the movie was shot and what Martin's experience was with McConaughey, with Leto, and with Jean-Marc Vallée, the director.
Okay, we're going to go to the Q&A with Martin, Pensa, in our main theater, and then Joe will be back for our Beyond the Classroom segment with a couple of special guests to talk about our alumni screening on the 30th. And then Joe and I will be back to discuss upcoming events and special guests for Rally Point Radio. But now on to Martin Pensa's Q&A for the Dallas Buyers Club. Take it away, Joe Byron.
Featured guest.
When I found out about his nomination, I was thrilled beyond belief, and he's blessed us with this time to talk about the movie, which I think is an amazing movie. What'd y'all think? Amazing, huh? And to talk about some of the transitions and some of the things that he's been through since he's left the Los Angeles Film School. Martin, why don't you, if you don't mind, tell us first about the last 12 years?
Whoa. How many days does that do?
It's a lot more than 2,887.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I had a great time here at the school. It was our third year, right? The school existed. And I thought I could go back to Montreal and do whatever I want. That's not how it is. Came back, was a bit disappointed with all the union stuff that was going on because we were so used to help one another here on many shoots. And that was the greatest part. How much stuff you learned from that was amazing. And you're on a set and then you can't even help someone with a cable because they're union and blah, blah, blah. So I was a bit disappointed about that and I forgot all about it. So I decided to do my own little company with a friend of mine and just direct our own things, commercials, music videos, all sorts of stuff. And it was all good until the projects became more and more interesting creatively, but with less and less money. So he decided to go back to school. I decided to become an assistant editor and to go back to some more learning experiences and meet more people and touch equipment that I haven't touched before. So yeah, started as assistant editor and assistant colorist and learned some visual effects on the way, being in a post-production company that was doing advertising. So I was assistant editor, I was editing when they had like small budget things, and then I was learning visual effects on the side, and I was editing stuff at my place as well. So just continuing learning and learning until you reach a point where you feel like you don't learn anymore. So you go to another place or you try something else to get to learn more. And at some point, I was in another visual effects company. I was an editor. And since I knew visual effects now, I was doing visual effects when there was no job. And Jean-Marc Vallée is a very good friend of the owner of Fake Studio, who did all the visual effects of that film and all his previous films. So Jean-Marc came and said, I want to edit Café de Flore, the movie I wrote and directed and produced and everything. And Jean-Marc used to be an editor a long time ago, but then he was a bit out of touch, so he wanted someone that knew Avid well and could help him out and everything. So I became his first assistant. We clicked. So while he was shooting Café de Flore in France and in Montreal, I was receiving the footage, preparing everything, and assemble a first cut. From that point on, he really clicked. He liked some stuff, some ideas that I brought. I was still his assistant, but he was giving me scenes to cut, and the friendship started and the collaboration started. That, and I think for Dallas, he called me and said, listen, I'm going to do this film and everything with Matthew McConaughey, blah, blah, blah. And it's a very low budget film. You might get paid this and they can't give you more. And I'm like, who cares, really? I mean, if you told me like we got no money to pay you at all, I would have done it. It was such a great opportunity. Not only opportunity, but the script was so good. And I trusted Jean-Marc with everything that he's touching is amazing. He's such a mentor and fantastic storyteller that there was no way I could say no.
A couple of things, Martin. You just mentioned that you would have done it for free. So I want to work on that one for just a little bit. Two things. One is, when did you know that you wanted to be involved in motion pictures? And two, at any time, did you ever feel like, I'm wasting my time, I'm going to give up?
I think I almost not gave up, but I was really thinking at some point when I was at Fake Studio. I was happy. I learned visual effects. I did some commercials. I did some shorts and everything, but nothing great was coming. I couldn't break through motion pictures, which was my first love. And there's a lot of job in Montreal now. Like Hollywood is coming to Montreal to shoot, and there's a lot of job opportunities there. But to be an editor for an American film, I don't know anyone in Montreal that does that, really. Like, yeah, I know two editors. But how lucky I am to have crossed paths with him. I don't know what I would have done at that point. Probably try to write and direct something, but it would have been a mistake, I think.
So you did collaborate with Jean-Marc on Café de Fleur. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about Café de Fleur.
I don't know if anybody saw the film, Café de Fleur? No? You should go and check it out. It's pretty good. It didn't get a very good distribution, actually, and it's a very auteur film and, a story about two completely different story. One is set in Montreal in 2010, one is set in France in the late 60s, and you don't see the connection with those two stories, and somehow they connect at some point. It's a beautiful film, very poetic, a big tribute to music. There's a lot of good music in there.
And you were the assistant editor on that?
Yeah, and on that project, we worked the same way that I worked with Jean-Marc for Dallas and for a while that I'm cutting right now. We worked each from our place. We live 15 minutes apart, walking distance, and I work in my basement, he worked in his office, and we were just bouncing bins through the internet and just sharing on the phone, talking every day about the film, the new cuts, the new scenes. And
so before Café Le Fleur, you didn't really know him, but you were introduced through the...
Well, I knew his reputation.
But you did not personally know him.
No, I didn't.
And so he kind of took a chance on you as assistant editor on this project, right?
Yeah, he met with me and with somebody else, and I got the job. But it was mainly trust. I don't think my resume was not better than the other guy, that's for sure. I don't know what clicked. I don't know why he chose me more than the other one.
And after that experience with him, he entrusted you with being the editor of Dallas, correct?
Right. We co-edited together. I mean, me and John McMurphy.
So maybe you could tell everyone out there what it was like as you got the dailies and began to see the results of the production. What was going through your mind in terms of what direction it was going and what it could become?
Well, first of all, we had no assistant. So I received the footage and I was our own assistant. And then when I saw all these great performances, I knew we had something, that's for sure. And the script was pretty solid to start up with. And the style too, we had $4-point-something million budget. That was the great part. I think that's one of the great stories of that film is that they didn't have much money. So what do? You have 25 days to shoot. Okay, let's take a Alexa camera, which works great in low lights. So let's not use any artificial lights. And they shot everything with just practicals. And so what that means is that no lighting setups, no nothing. You shoot, you don't cut. You go from a wide, okay, let's not cut, go to the close-up, go to the reverse. So that was amazing. Well, I had to deal with all that footage. But apart from that, that was really, really great. That new way of shooting was amazing, and Jean-Marc is not going back to anything else. Actually, his first experience with digital was on Café de Fleur. He shot Montreal's story on film, and first experience digital in the France story because they were shooting with Down syndrome kid in Paris, and he wanted to be able to run the camera as much as possible to grab some good stuff with the kid, and he realized how much freedom that gave him. So that was his first experience with digital, and then to be limited with time and budget on Dallas was another blessing. Like, fine, let's shoot with no light. Brilliant.
So having to deal with these very long scenes was both very exciting and very much hard work too, right?
Right.
You had to figure out what to do with them.
Yeah, but you organize yourself and you find ways and you get to know your footage. And the great part is, too, that he kept on shooting anything he could. And there's so many scenes in that film that was not on the page and that we completely invented from something that we didn't use or from a scene that was completely cut. I just came through like 10 minutes before the film ended, but I remember when Eve is receiving the call from the lawyer saying, "You lost." That's from a completely other scene that we cut. Like she was actually talking to Ron on something else. That shot where Matthew is coming back on the plane, that's a composite shot. And that was him. He was shot like that in the courtroom. We took him out of the courtroom, put it in the plane. We needed that shot to make that journey back home and to see how disappointed he was. So there's so many scenes like that in the film, and that's the great part when you get to know your footage. When you decide to cut some scenes, you need to remember they're not completely deleted forever. You can go back and take something out of that.
Movie magic, and the editor really is the final screenwriter, isn't he?
Well, especially when you work with Jean-Marc, who's an amazing storyteller. He taught me to always question yourself. He's never too close to his material. I don't think you can say that from any director who decides to cut their own film, which is dangerous, right?
Yes.
So he's never like, oh no, but this shot needs to be in, or this scene needs to be in. He's never ever like that. He always questions what we've done.
Matthew McConaughey was always thought of as being a boy toy kind of an actor, right? I mean, we all know him from a lot of romantic comedies and things, but it seems like his career has taken an immediate about face because his recent work has been pretty astonishing, and winning Best Actor, an Oscar, a Golden Globe, and a SAG Award for Best Actor. What did you think when you were going to be cutting a movie with Matthew McConaughey, and what did you think when you actually saw the footage of what he was doing?
Well, we were a bit scared. Jean-Marc told me he was slightly scared, but when he met him, he saw the determination that Matthew wanted to put into the film. So he said, all right, man, I trust you. He really saw something in him, and he's like, okay, let's do it. And then when they did it, of course, it was beautiful. But still, he's a very intense actor, and he gave us a wide range of emotion. We could do a scene and you would be like super intense, and Jean-Marc at some point would say, okay, let's try it less. And Jean-Marc is a very less is more kind of person. So to see Matthew at first was a bit of a shock. So he was like, okay, how am I going to deal with this creature? And the character of Ron Woodruff is already big in itself. So Jean-Marc thought, okay, this guy takes a lot of space. Let's move away with the camera. Let's not go too close. I'm going to leave him breathe and take the space. And so that's what he did. There is some close-ups, but we try to stay wide and we try to let the scene walk itself through. And
I like what you just said, because the thing that I really love about the movie is it's not melodramatic. I mean, it seems like the subject matter and it seems like the images and maybe even the ideology could go way out of control. But the movie always seems to know kind of its own barometric pressure, even in terms of the lighting and even in terms of the shot selection, even in terms of the music, that it always seems controlled. So I guess this is not a question, but rather it's an observation, and that is we have this movie which is about this very intense issue, and it takes place in Texas, in Dallas. We have certain stereotypical images of what that is, and it's got this kind of rodeo kind of mentality, and yet a Frenchman is directing it, but it seems so amazingly authentic. Don't you all think? How does that work?
Well, I think he was first surrounded by a great team. And also, he did his research. He trusted Matthew a lot, too. Because Matthew, if you know something, is about Texas, right?
How to be a redneck?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he trusted him on that. And so if there was anything that looked weird or whatever, I think Matthew would have told him. But yeah, I think his team was just great, and very, very small team. Again, like if you have no lighting, you might have a lighting crew standing by, but it works, I think.
I mean, it's an amazing movie, and I've seen it a couple of times now. And when I first saw it, I wasn't aware of the fact that there was no stage lighting used. I mean, I'm not a fan of dark lighting. I mean, some of my students would know that I like to see the movie because I think the story occurs in the performances and the story occurs in the subtext of a film. And when it's dark and when it's overly contrasty or it's over the top in terms of cinematic style, I think it's a distraction. Mm-hmm. But this was never a distraction to me at all. It always seems authentic and real, and I was always aware of where I was and how it was.
Yeah, well, they really wanted to go with the natural look too, look documentary style, and the production designer was pretty much Yves Bélanger's grip. He was helping him with the lighting. So yeah, that's an interesting new way of doing things.
We're going to get some questions. I want to go over a couple things with you first, and that is, you were a student here in 2002. Martin and I, we've been together a couple of times since he's been in Hollywood here. You talked about going to see the editing presentation at the Egyptian Theater that they do before the Academy Awards.
Right.
And you went to the one in 2002, right?
Right.
Tell them about your experience as a student going to see this presentation.
Yeah, in 2002, it was like maybe the fifth year they were doing that, so the queue wasn't so long, and it was kind of easy to go in, and it was just great to see these great editors talking about their craft and everything. And now I come back 12 years later and I'm sitting on the opposite side was quite something, really. And it became so much bigger. And people were queuing up since 6:30 in the morning, and it was at 10:30. I was like, man, it's insane. But it was great. Yes, I was on the stage, but I learned so much from the other guys too, and we got to talk before, after. I met with them even this week, and it's amazing. That was my biggest highlight of the Oscar weekend.
And how did you feel inside up there on the stage?
Well, at first I think I shouldn't be here, man. These guys are like, they've been in the business for a while now. They know what they're doing, but they were so nice and they made me feel so comfortable, and they respected what we did with the film. They asked a lot of questions. So I think everyone has a different background and everyone has a different experience in what they did. So it doesn't necessarily depend on time. Like, yes, I only did 3 films, but I think I got a lot to talk about, and so do they.
The last thing I want to ask you before we get questions from the audience is, when did the Oscar buzz start? And what was it like when they began to make the announcements of the nominations?
Well, I was cutting Wild, that I'm still cutting right now with Reese Witherspoon. It's always very intense when you edit with Jean-Marc. So even though we're working from our place, the day starts early and it ends late. And so I kind of forgot that there was the nomination things, and I never thought we would get nominated. I thought probably Matthew and Jared for sure. And then my mom called me in the morning and she's like, yeah, I'm late to work, but I was watching TV and they said that you had 4 nominations, including Best Film. I'm like, this is amazing. I was very, very happy. Best Film that was amazing. And she's like, okay, I'm late. I'm leaving. Okay, so I'm calling Jean-Marc, and Jean-Marc is a very early bird normally, so it's like 9 o'clock. I'm never going to wake him up. And he's like, what? Yeah. I'm like, I'm waking you up, man? He's like, yeah, my son had a car problem in the middle of the night, blah, blah, blah. It's winter. When winter in Montreal, it's hard. And he's like, yeah, so what? Do we have any nominations? I'm like, yeah, man, we got 4, including Best Picture. He's like, oh, that's great. He's like, wait. I just received a text. We got Best Editing too. I'm like, come on, man. They're like, yeah, man, check your things. We got Best Editing. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. So I checked. Actually, I didn't even have time to check because my assistant was 2 feet away, and she's like, you're nominated, man, for an Oscar. I'm like, this is crazy. So I called back my mom. I'm like, you should have stayed longer in front of your TV.
Great stuff. Do we have any questions from the audience? If so, we'd like you to go up to the microphone and ask the question here.
How you doing? Great job. Very lovely film. You could tell that a lot went into it. When it comes to systems, what's your preference? Did you cut on Avid on this one?
Yeah.
And do you prefer Avid? Do you Final Cut, Final Cut X, anything
Avid,
else?
Man. I'm Avid all the way. I've tried all the other editing platforms, and sometimes I need to cut on Final Cut for commercials or whatever.
Right. Excellent. Yeah, it was a great job. I do dabble a little bit myself. I do the same thing you did, because I always say you have to wear many hats before one finally fits. Mm-hmm. Looks like you found your hat. You edit now. Yeah. And I do a little bit of everything. I'm cutting a film right now myself. It's my own film. Usually it's a no situation. Don't cut your own film. But budgetary constraints, and I enjoy it. I'm not too picky about the shot, so I'm like, I know what works.
Well, you learn from any experience, that's for sure. And I mean, editing is a great experience to know from everything, from directing to acting to sound to visual effects. You need to touch everything.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much. Great film.
Welcome.
Okay, we've got another question here. That was Chaz, by the way, and this is Nathan, right?
Yep, that's me. Hi.
Hi.
Since the director knew you and trusted you and all that, as far as the final cut, how much leeway did he give you as far as being creative?
He gave me everything I wanted, but, we were co-editing. He's not the director who's pointing the finger at the screen. He has his own station. So we were bouncing ideas back and forth. Actually, we started the film. He edited the first 15 pages. I did the next 15. And so on. And then afterwards, we looked at that first edit together. And then I went to all his scenes that he's worked on and vice versa. So we exchanged scenes. So we got to touch the whole film together. And towards the end, after many screenings, we were saying, okay, well, try to do that, I'll do that. We were going through the list of notes we've made, and yeah, it was great.
All right, fantastic, thank you.
Another question.
What was the biggest thing that brought you to the LA Film School? And as you're looking at it today, has it changed in a better, more progressive way? Or what's your biggest thing that drew you here and made you even want to come here today?
Well, I was actually very lucky because at the time I wanted to go to Concordia University in Montreal, and it's very small program. They accept only 50 people, and so they didn't accept me that year. And I was about about to go to France to try another school, and my aunt calls me, Danielle Suissa, who used to be the dean of this school back in the days. She calls me and she's like, "Where are you going? Just come here. We're starting this new school, blah, blah, blah." Yes, it's 3 years old, but it's already great. And so she sold it to me. I got to live at her place. And so I was lucky for that. And I don't regret it at all. Yes, there's other great school, I'm sure, but this was already a great school to me, even though it wasn't already perfect like it seems to be right now. It's amazing. Like, I haven't seen the school in 12 years, and I come back, and it's so different. I'm very proud of Joe and his team. But I would suggest it to anyone who wants to go in film to come here. And when you get this chance to come to a place where the teachers are really inspiring and they give you all that stuff, they give you a laptop, man. It's crazy. And I saw the rooms you work in and everything, and it's wonderful. You can just go wild here, and you should. Like, we had 1 year, it was an intensive year, and they told us you can go to this class or this class, or you can do all of them. So I'm like, well, it's not going to pay more anyways, so let's do all of them. And I think it was wonderful for that. You need to touch every field, every job. It needs to be respected, and you need to try them all.
This theater hasn't changed much.
No.
So bring back good memories?
Great memories, yeah.
Okay, we have another question at the mic.
Hello. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. It's really an honor.
Pleasure.
I have a question for you about your next film that you mentioned, Wild. That is also with Jean-Marc Vallée.
Jean-Marc Vallée, that's right.
He seems to be a real actor's director. You talked about how he brought out such a great performance in Matthew McConaughey. And I was curious because I feel like Reese Witherspoon has also had some kind of uneven performances. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on what's going to happen with her. Is he going to be another star maker in a bigger way with Reese Witherspoon? And also, with your experience having worked on this other film, Dallas Buyers Club, is there anything that you think you would like to try differently, or just curious what your approach might be on the next film?
Well, expect something great from Reese. I can tell you that. She's really amazing, and maybe it's Jean-Marc who brings that out of them. I don't know. Probably he has an influence. But the stories he chooses are great, and the characters are great, and so...
And the editing's great.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, she was ready. Like Matthew, she was ready to change her career, and she did it because she can, because she is good, and she's going to prove it. So I'm sure we're going to hear about it a lot. It's a great story. For those who don't know, Wild is best-selling book written by Cheryl Strayed. It's her own story. She's hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, and through that you see flashbacks of her life and understand why she's doing it. So it's a crazy role for Reese. She excels in it. As for the style, well, like I said, Jean-Marc shot it the same way he shot Dallas. There's a lot more exteriors, more budget too. They used artificial lights once in the night scene, but it was just like a China ball, like super far away, and that was that. We're trying different things, not necessarily in the style, but you need to follow your story, you need to follow your characters, and that's what Jean-Marc is really great. We want you to be with that character, to feel what he feels and everything. Like, you don't want to lose eye contact, and that's one of the things we do most of the time, like to justify a cut is mainly through looks. It's very rarely we'll go to an insert of something that has nothing to do with the point of view of the character. If that's the character we're going to follow, let's stay with that person. So that's the style that's not changing, storytelling-wise, I would say.
When is it scheduled to be released? Any dates?
In fall, somewhere in fall. I don't know when exactly.
In time for next year's Academy Awards?
Sure, yeah,
right.
Exactly. They got it all planned out, right?
Okay, we have another question.
I just wanted to know how long it took to edit the film and how intense was it?
Very intense. And, and Jean-Marc is a very intense person, and he doesn't quit until it's done. So Dallas took 7 months, approximately 7, yeah. And Wild is taking as much, if not more now. And Café de Flore took more than 9 months. Yeah, it's long. And we're 2 editors, and still it's long.
Well, good job.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, but this one's not being edited in your basement, right?
This Wild? Wild,
Yeah.
I edited in my basement too.
Okay. There you go.
We came here like 4 or 5 weeks ago after director's cut. The studio wants you to come here and they want you to stay close to them.
There's a lot of difference in terms of security too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like this time we couldn't we couldn't have our stations hooked up to internet because that was a big breach to their security. And they're like, "So you're cutting from your place? So you have an alarm system, right?" I'm like, "I have an alarm system." So I had to install that just to reassure them that everything was fine. It's completely crazy when you think of it because, who's going to look for me in my basement cutting this? Like, they're going to look to post-production houses first to see if they can breach their system, right?
I don't know. You don't have the NSA in Canada, do you?
No. It's crazy.
Okay, we have another question.
Hey there, I have a weird question. Is there like projects where you felt embarrassed to have your name on it, where you're like, I don't want to put my name on this. This doesn't seem right.
You mean my thesis that I did at the school, for instance? No, that's not true. No, at some point you get to decide also what you're going to work on. Sometimes you might be wrong, but who cares? You're trying to do the best job as possible. And in the end, you need to be sort of happy with what you did. I've put the hours on projects that, I thought it's not going anywhere. But if in the end you're fine with what you did, you did the best you could, then it's okay. I don't mind.
Cool, thanks.
You're always learning from that. And I don't think anybody's going to judge you from it, or if they do, well, that's too bad for them. They won't have the chance to work with you.
There you go.
Okay, so my question is, do you have some words of advice for new students?
Stay in school. No. Don't do drugs. Don't sleep. Just do it all. You gotta take every moment that you have, just do it. And don't be scared to fuck up. It's the time to do it, and it's the best time to do it, because afterwards you're gonna go into the real world. So it's the best time to meet some new collaborators, probably future collaborators, and or just good friends. And like, this was one of the best years of my life. So yeah, do it all. And respect everyone, and respect their jobs, and respect their ideas, and challenge them.
I am really, really proud and happy of Martin, and I'm proud and thrilled with our school. I'm so happy that you all came here. Martin is our first student to have been nominated for an Academy Award, so I think this is really a momentous occasion. It's not going to be the last one. It's not going to be the last one for him either. He's pretty much there. And I think that you can see in Martin probably something that many of you who are film students in our school now or are thinking about wanting to go in the industry, I'm hoping that there's something that you see in Martin here that you feel in yourself. I mean, we all kind of start out with humble beginnings. We all have something that makes us feel alive and passionate, and so many of us kind of ignore that and go off and do something that other people tell us that they should do.
Yeah, and I think too that we should all be open-minded to what's the outcome of all this. Like, for instance, I never thought I would be an editor. I came here probably like most of us believing, I'm going to become a director, screenwriter, or whatever. But in the end, you might end up doing something else just because you discovered that thing is actually you. So yeah, just keep an open mind.
And don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. The miracle is always going to happen tomorrow. If you walk away from it now, you'll miss it tomorrow, right?
Well said.
All right. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
And let's give a great hand to Martin. And I also want to thank the staff. We've got Art, who's done the podcast recording. And we have Michael and Rudy on camera here. So thank you all for coming. Have a great weekend.
All right, welcome back to Rally Point Radio. This next segment features a couple of our film alumni who actually made a feature film while they were here at the Los Angeles Film School. This interview was originally scheduled to air a couple of weeks ago, but as what can happen in Hollywood, our first show was pushed back a couple of weeks. So this interview was originally done as a promo for a screening that we did here on May the 30th, but I didn't want to toss the interview or throw it away. Also, if you ever get a chance to see this movie and you know George Ohan at all, I highly recommend it because George was featured pretty heavily in our first episode and is one of our associate producers here at Rally Point Radio. So shout out to George.
Hey!
George plays a rooftop would-be killer very well. Academy Award winning performance, George Ohan. I'm going to preface this interview with a trailer which can be found on YouTube at Ghoul Pride Productions. That's Gulpride Productions. So here is the trailer for Where Angels Fall, and then we will be back with Joe Byron's interview with the Ghoul Brothers. So here we go.
Look to the right and see. There is none who takes notice of me. No refuge remains to me. No one cares for my soul. I cry to you, O Lord. I say, you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. My God has abandoned me.
Daddy!
Let her go! I think you can still play.
From the field.
This is Joe Byron of the Los Angeles Film School. I'm the Director of Student and Alumni Engagement, and I'm here today with two of our grad students, the Ghoul Brothers. You want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Sarup Gol.
My name is Nakash Gol.
And I'm the alumni of Los Angeles Film School, graduated in 2012, May.
Alumni of Los Angeles Film School, graduated in 2012, May.
Okay, we're always happy when brothers come together into the program. We've had many people who've related that worked very well through the program, and they continue to work as they leave the school. What's very special about today is we're here to promote a screening of a feature film that these two young men have collaborated to do. What's very special about this presentation is not that they've spent a lot of time and money and a lot of their lives putting it together, but also that it will be the first of many alumni screenings that we're doing as a new alumni benefit from our film and other majors. So would one of you like to tell us the title of your film and maybe a little bit about it?
Sure. The film title is Where Angels Fall. It's about a character named Diego who works in a small church as a priest. He's haunted by the demons of his past and thinks he outran them. One day his past catches up on him in the face of his former employer named Lex, who kidnaps his daughter and forces him to do 3 jobs for him, like 3 kills. And in the past, taking a life used to come easy for Diego, but this time in the present, every kill takes a heavy toll on his soul.
All right, well, don't tell us too much here.
Well, that's the thing.
That sounds really great. What inspired you to make this particular film?
Nakash actually came up with this idea, like in the second month of our film program. He actually came up with the ending of the film, and he pitched that to his group because they were doing a project together, but they didn't like it. So they rejected it, and they went on to work on some different idea. So he came home and he told me about the idea that he pitched to his group. And I was like, okay, this could be a nice ending to some movie. But that idea kept like in my mind for like a few weeks, and then I started working on a project, started writing the script. It took me 8 months to finish it. And I gave it to Nakash to read it, and he liked it. So we thought, okay, we should make a movie on this.
Okay, so you were writing it while you were in the program.
We started shooting it while we were in the program.
And
too.
You did pre-production and you started shooting while you were in the film program.
Pre-production, production, and post-production were all going at the same time.
At the same time. So you were here and you could take advantage of the facilities.
That was the plan.
We wanted to shoot some scenes outside. We shoot
in LA, and the permits were cheap. Yeah,
and the permits were like $25, and
that's why there's a lot of outside locations of LA that we shot, and which were like, if we were not the students, it would have been really expensive for us.
So this was done in a very somewhat unconventional way.
Yeah, it was.
But if you had shot it in a conventional way, I mean, how many days of production do you think it would have taken?
I mean, the way we work, might have taken us like 2 to 3 months.
2 to
Because
3
we
months?
shoot fast. We shoot really fast. And,
Well, that's a very long production
But yeah,
shooting schedule.
yeah, but the script was 90 pages, and originally the movie was like 3 hours and 15 minutes, but we
Yeah.
had to cut it down to 2 hours and 20 minutes now. So yeah, if we give this script to a Hollywood producer or a Hollywood company, they would have said, "Oh, it's like a $100 million film," and but we had to shoot it in a very small budget. But we had a lot of time.
I assume that you also had a lot of collaboration from
Yes,
fellow
yes,
students
a lot.
and
Like
others.
George Ohan is one of, I think, very famous student of this this
school, yeah, so-
school.
So
Yeah,
George participated?
He
He
actually
was
helped
line
us a lot.
producer, yeah.
He was the line producer of our film. Like during our LA shoot, he was there for us all the time.
And you had actors that stuck with you through the whole time?
Yeah, we have some good cast. Most of the actors in Louisville, because that's where we shot most of the film in Louisville, Kentucky. So they stick by us for a very long time. One of actually actor broke his jaw during the process.
And after your first official screening here at the place where the film was made, what are your plans for the film?
As we were talking about it earlier, it's easier to get the foreign distribution than an American one at this time. So that's what we're trying to do now. That's what we
We're
figure
trying
out.
to, yeah,
So
we figure out that,
we are leaving LA after the screening.
After the screening, yeah.
And in 3 months, we're going to leave the country. So
Right now, we are planning on dubbing the film into a foreign
Yeah.
language, and then
That we have a
taking
market-
it
that we have a
outside.
market
So we're gonna
So-
try to tackle that market over
so
there
after
right
spending
now.
3 years of my life on this film, I don't want this film to sit in my living room.
So,
I
yeah.
really want to get it
So
out there
we're-
in any
we do-
market, any
we wanna
place.
get it
I wanna
out,
get it
yeah.
out there.
Well, they say that films are never finished. They're only
Right.
ever abandoned.
Yeah.
That's true.
So after a
That's
while,
true.
you say, I think I'm done on this one.
No, we're not.
So that's going to bring up my next question. So what about a sequel?
We are planning on a sequel. Yes.
And have you done any brainstorming or writing on the next
No,
film?
not
right
yet,
now we're
not
coming
yet.
up with a story, and normally me and Surul we talk in the gym because we like to work out, and that's where our ideas
That's where
come.
the best ideas come
Yeah,
from.
That's where the whole movie got made. Just in the gym, we thought about it, we planned it, and we execute the idea. So we are doing the same with the sequel right now.
Well, Sabora and Nikesh have been very patient.
Right.
They approached me, what was it, 3 or 4 months ago,
Yes.
maybe even longer, because they wanted to show the film. And at that time, it was very, very difficult to get approvals because we hadn't instigated this new alumni policy. So I'm really excited and happy that you stuck it out. I'm really excited and happy that yours is going to be the first film. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the film as well. It's going to be on May the 30th, and we're going to start around 7:30, and we really, really want to have as much audience as possible so we can support some of our Los Angeles Film School friends and family as they jump out into a really great career. And we'll be doing a Q&A afterwards too, right?
That's awesome.
So we'll give everyone an opportunity to ask questions about how hard it is to make a film with no money while you're still a student.
That's true. That's true.
Do you have any final words or words of encouragement to any of our listeners?
I would just say stick by your dreams. That's what we did, and we're still doing it, even though some days we just feel like quitting.
Yeah, there were many days where we felt like
but
quitting this,
we
abandoning this
didn't. But we
project.
didn't. Like even during the shooting process, there were many times we thought that okay, this is not gonna end, but we kept at it, and things kept coming our way. And same thing's happening with the distribution thing too. Once we think okay, this is not gonna get out there, something comes up. So yeah, just stick by your dream.
So it's about being resourceful. It's about believing in yourself.
It's more about believing in yourself.
Somehow,
Because,
when you go out there and you try to do something bigger, you will think it's very hard, but somehow people are going to come in and they're going to help you. You're going to find people to help you, and that's what we got. I mean, we needed a church for this movie, and we couldn't find a big church. So my neighbor, he said, okay, I know this guy, and you got the church, and we got the church for 4 or 5 days for free. So, basically, somehow people, they come out and they help you when you believe in something.
Successful filmmakers never give up either.
Right, that's true. Yes.
True.
All right.
So, yes.
Thank you. We look forward to May the 30th.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. Thank you, Joe Byron. Next month, you have another Q&A coming up.
Okay, this is an amazing opportunity for the school to meet probably the #1 production sound guy in Hollywood. The movie is called Finding Neighbors, and the director is a man by the name of Ron Judkins. Now, if you do an IMDb on Ron Judkins or Ronald Judkins, you will see that he is Spielberg's boom man. He's Spielberg's mixer.
Yeah.
He was nominated for, I believe, 5 Academy Awards. I know 2 of them he won, Jurassic Park, I believe, and Schindler's List. Production sound, we feel, is something that both of our recording and film programs have in common because it's considered to be kind of not a high-end position by many who are like kind of dazzled by the director and the kind of above-the-line people. But recording that dialogue, recording
Yes.
those sounds is as important as recording those images. A movie is 50% sound and music, 50% visual. And in today's high-tech presentation arenas, like the
now we've got the Dolby Atmos
and
coming
the
out.
THX and all of these things. The sound is so much a big part of that. And to have someone with the stature of Ron Judkins to come in, even though we're showing a movie he directed, to have him come in and give advice to both sides of our two programs, I think is something that's really not to be missed. Now, I actually got to meet Ron Judkins back in, I think it was 2000 or 2001, because he did come in and do some workshops and seminars with some of our students, and I'm going to try to talk him into doing that again. So that'll be a great opportunity for someone to network with a guy who's pretty much always at Spielberg's right-hand side when he's shooting a movie.
You'd also mentioned possibly the Workaholics people. You want to do a screening with them.
I'm planning on, if we can get the creative artists, Kyle Newacek and others, if they have the time. I know that.
Yeah, because I just did an interview with Kyle, so that'll be coming up in our next episode, actually.
Oh, that'll be a good one.
Yeah.
You know, Kyle's quite a character. He's not Carl the drug dealer on Workaholics in real life.
No, not so much.
But, you know, he once told me that he would have been that if it hadn't been for the Los Angeles Film School. But Kyle is one of the greatest people you ever meet. But I would like to have a Workaholics night here at the school to show an episode or two, and some of the cast maybe to talk to the students about not only the show, but how they managed to get that show made and sold, because that's a great story.
Thank you for joining us, Joe Byron.
Thank you, Art.
All right, that's going to do it for episode number 2 of Rally Point Radio. Join us next time for our special featured guest, Kyle Newacek of Workaholics and an alumni of the Los Angeles Film School. So until next week, this is Art Holmes for Rally Point Radio. We are out.
This has been a production of the Los Angeles Film School's chapter of Student Veterans of America. We would like to thank the GIs of Comedy, Shure Microphones, and Broadcast Supply Worldwide. For more information on the show and other episodes, visit lafilm.edu/military.
The views and opinions expressed on Rally Point Radio are those of the on-air personalities and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Los Angeles Film School or its subsidiaries.
I'll break it down for you. That's awesome.